To a good start to a new year. Our system is our system, and we showed that today. As a coach, you're going to nitpick, and there's things that I'm certainly not real pleased with. But overall, to have very little on St. Francis and come out and play the way we did, I'm real happy about. We really didn't have anything. We had an idea that they would run some dribble drive, and they played hard, and they did. A lot of credit goes to St. Francis because it's not fun to play against us in the style that we're playing. And those kids never got down, they never quit, and they continued to play hard. I think that St. Francis is going to have a good year, and I think they have a good young head coach, and they just need to stay the course, and they're going to be fine in their league. For us, obviously, our post play has been addressed. We had 31 points from two of our post players today, and we didn't shoot the ball well from the arc, but that will happen. I can promise you.
Dan, cheers.
Cheers. Ega shake
That. Speaking of languages, Dunya obviously had a career high in points. That's a natural transition there. Just what have you made of her finding a home here and finding comfort within this sisterhood?
With Dunya, I think it's our belief in her and her understanding that we have complete faith and belief in her and a lot of positivity. She's very hard to guard one-on-one in the post. I don't care if you're 6'6" or 6 foot and super strong. She's got that Kevin McHale type game where she's very slinky and has a very high basketball IQ. Tonight, it was in the post with her post moves. But as you'll see as the season progresses, there's a reason why we list her as a guard forward. She shoots the three really well, and she can also really kind of direct traffic and be a very effective passer and ball mover. And Dunya's been, it's been just Dunya was a heck of a basketball player in Serbia. And she went to the wrong system. It didn't work for her where she was in her last stop. And she's in the right place for her. And she's going to have a great year.
Dan, we talked about the 5 in, 5 out across 2 minutes, across 3 quarters, and then you would kind of make that decision in the fourth. When you have such collective buy-in and effort across the board, how much does that give you that green light to maybe just keep doing what you're doing?
You have to thank the kids and just really appreciate the kids on the roster because they have bought completely into what we're doing with 5 in and 5 out. And there's no rest for our opponent, but there's also no time to check out if you're playing this style because you come to the bench and you can't relax. You're going to get your breath, you're going to get a drink, you'll get a towel, but 2 minutes later, you're going right back in. And so there's no time to check out. And it really engages your entire team and allows for everyone to feel like they're really valued and feel like they're really a part of this. And in the day of the transfer portal that we're in, where half of teams leave every year, we don't have that situation, and I believe this is a big reason why.
It didn't show up points-wise, but what Fatu was able to do with her 5 steals today, just the confidence that she gave herself and uplifted in her teammates, just how important is comfort, confidence, and finding role and just making this thing work for her?
Well, Fatu had 5 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. And, a couple weeks ago, Fatu wasn't really accepting her role. Certainly wasn't embracing her role. And her high school coach, who is a really important part of her life, came down and spent a little bit of time with her, and they had a good talk. And since then, the last 2 weeks, she's really embraced her role. And her role doesn't have to necessarily be scoring. That's kind of a secondary thing for her. The way the new rules are with officiating in women's basketball, you can hot stove as much as you want. You can touch them as much as you want. For an aggressive defender who's so strong and so quick like Fatu, she's going to cause a lot of people problems this year. And, it's just not on-ball defense, but it's, her poking it away on ball, but it's also her reading gaps and then going to rebound. And what we've found is when she focuses on that, the points come. And they didn't come today, but the points will come off of drives and off of short kickouts as we can progress through the season.
We've seen Gabby put points up. We remember the Little Rock game from a couple seasons ago, but the 11 rebounds, and obviously a kid that missed last season and really just came in next play and has had the right attitude the entire time. Just what have you liked from her buy-in and just her ability to take ownership and just really invest within herself in this team?
Well, Gabby led us with 11 rebounds, but I think that we also have to look at Raina Green and Maya and how aggressively they went to the boards, and they did that. But Gabby's been doing this all year. Gabby at this time last year wasn't real happy with me. She chose the red shirt, and it wasn't forced upon her, but I told her the minutes probably weren't going to be there, and she took the red shirt, and for about 2 or 3 weeks she probably didn't like me. And the best thing that she ever did was red shirt, because it allowed her game to grow and mature, and that's what we're seeing now. She's our leader, she's our team captain, and she's a bucket getter, but she's also a kid that can go and rebound it also, and she has a maturity about her that the others follow. And so really happy for her the day that she's had, because she's worked really hard for it.
Coach, losing a bunch of girls from last year, Meg going to the WBA over in Australia now, and then losing her the journey to the portal. You have a big fountain of youth. I mean, 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores, one redshirt sophomore, and you're starting last day. What can you say about just the youth of your team and then their ability to buy into the system and everything like that?
Well, we're really happy for Meg. She had 20-plus points in her last game there in Australia, and we're looking forward to her being in the WNBA again last year. The people that wanted to be here were here, and we turned a new chapter over in April. And I went into the film room and I said, the 8 players that are coming back out of the 10, you are all guards, and we're going to go find you a couple post players. And our assistant coach, RJ Bell, who's our recruiting coordinator, went out and did that. We signed the number 1 and number 2 freshman rebounders in the transfer portal. 1,700 kids in the portal, about 450 freshmen. We got the top 2 rebounders in Harriet Ford, who you did not see tonight, and Maya. Dunya was an interesting thing that happened late. Had a friend of a friend, and we didn't know what we were getting with Dunya, but we're incredibly happy with her. Dunya is a very good basketball player and has the confidence now that she didn't have for the last couple years. And then obviously there's Raven Washington, who is going to be a very special player. And tonight, she was 6 for 10 and had 5 rebounds and 15 points, but she didn't play well. We have a higher expectation for her, and she'll get there. But yeah, we didn't go out seeking to have a youth movement or anything like that, but we are starting 2 freshmen and 3 sophomores, and they're not playing like that. If there's one thing that, when we closed the chapter in April, but if there's one thing that is carried over by Meg to this team is that Meg was such a good leader and such a great captain and great human being, that all of those kids followed and took those lessons. And I've been saying that it's like us having 13 captains. And we are really anticipating to having a good year. We're excited about the kids, the system that we're playing, and they're having a lot of fun.
I would talk about Nadia's 17 points in 15 minutes, but I would more like to talk about the response that she had. Slow start, not feeling well, but continuing to stay engaged within her process and wanting to do it for herself and her team. Just what does that speak to her will and her team-first attitude?
Well, her first rotation, she had just thrown up 3 times before the game began. 3 times. And she looked ashen, she looked pale in that first rotation in the first quarter. And she didn't shoot. She shot one, and I think it was an air ball. And I said, let's get her out, put Raina in. And then from there, she made good decisions with attacking first, getting her feet underneath her, getting some confidence, and then knocking down those threes. Nadia, at the end of the summer, was our best player. And when your best player is able to come off the bench, it's a pretty special thing. she's been real good. Another kid that crashes the glass really hard and has really done a nice job defensively because she's aggressive. She doesn't take plays off, and she's a bucket. I mean, she can go and get buckets. And sometimes her shot selection has been a little bit suspect, for lack of better words, but you have to let these kids play free in this system and know that every once in a while they're going to let one fly that you go, oh, I'm not sure about that one. But they're going to get it back on a defensive turnover. They're going to get it back on a rebound, those kind of things. And when you take 22 more shots than your opponent, it's hard to get beat.
Dan, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how in this system you want to have complete trust in this team. Just with the 40 minutes you see, how does that trust enforce or even strengthen just seeing the collective buy-in and balance from this group?
By no means was this a perfect game, but this was a good first game for us. Going in basically blind, playing against a team that really represented their coach by playing really hard. This was a good first test for us, and obviously we know what our corrections. I don't even need to watch the film pretty much. We have a pretty good understanding of what we need to do better at. We're not going to go 3 for 27 from the three-point line. I can promise you that. And if we're shooting it like we think we can, we're going to put up some serious numbers. The key is we have to continue to rebound and pressure people, and we can't have 17 turnovers. And some of those were travels and illegal screens. And that's all I'm going to say about the illegal screens. Like, we have to be better at that. I don't mind us picking up 1 or 2 at the beginning, because if we've committed 1 or 2, we've probably gotten away with 7 or 8 of them. So I'm okay with an illegal screen or 2, but we can't travel. And we traveled and had, I believe, 4 travel calls, and we have to eliminate that as we get better and get further down the road. I appreciate everyone being here. We had a really good crowd for Monday at 2 p.m. in early November. Thank you for supporting women's basketball. See you on Thursday.